Okay, so from here starts the speaking test. This is the speaking test of the International English Language Testing System taking place online in Ross IELTS Academy. The candidate is Jennifer Assau. The candidate number is 014-12372. The examiner is Mehnoush Hafi, examiner number 443533. Good afternoon. My name is Mehnoush Hafi. Would you please tell me your full name?
Well, my name is Jennifer Assau.
And what can I call you?
Jennifer.
Okay. Can I see your identification, please, if you have one? Thank you very much. There you go. Okay, here we can start with the first part of your exam. In the first part, I will ask you some personal questions.
Okay.
First, I would like to ask about your hometown. Where is your hometown?
Well, I live in São Paulo, and this is a big city with a lot of people. The population is very high, and it's kind of economic center of Brazil. We have a lot of banks and other companies here. And it's
Okay.
it's a nice place to live.
Your hometown? Do you like your hometown?
Yes, I like. Well, we have a lot of options and opportunities here. We have a lot of parks and other things to do, like theaters, cinema, or other kind of entertainment places.
And what is the oldest place in your hometown?
The oldest place, I think the oldest place in my town, maybe it's a palace located in bairro Ipiranga. It's some place here in my town. And today is a museum. I think it's the oldest place here.
Okay. Now let's move on to talk about clothes. Do you ever wear the traditional clothes of your country?
No. I think we don't have a traditional clothes here really. The first people in Brazil was indigenous people, and I think we don't have, because here we had in the colonization of Brazil was basically Portuguese people and Spanish.
Very good, great. Now let's talk about computers. How do you usually get online?
Well, here in Brazil we have fast internet, so you hire the internet that you like among the options. Well, I have my computer and my cell phone, and that's how I access the internet and do my studies and other things.
Okay. And do you think it's important to learn how to use a computer?
Yeah, absolutely. For work, it's very important. You have to use that these days. Who don't know to use a computer? It's like professionally dead.
Okay, thank you very much. Great. Now we are done with the first part of your exam and we can move on to the second part.
Okay.
In the second part, I'm going to give you a topic and I would like you to talk about it for 2 minutes.
Okay.
But before you talk, you will have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say and you can make notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Now you can take a paper and a pencil to make notes, and I share my screen very well so that you can see the topic. Okay. Now I would like you to describe a time when you used the internet to solve a problem. You have 1 minute to think about your topic and it starts now. Okay. Now you can talk about the topic for 2 minutes and don't worry if I stop you. And your 2 minutes start now.
Well, the internet is present in our lives every day. So I use it every day to solve all my problems. But the most when I needed the internet the most was this year. I think it March. I did a meeting with some company that helps us to help us with the immigration problems to Canada. Well, I want to go to Canada, and I had a meeting with this company. So it was very important, and I did a video call, and it was very successful, and I think it helped me a lot. So another problems that I solve is usually to pay bills and transfer money through internet. I have my bank account, and through internet I enter in my account and do whatever I need to do. So this meeting with the company, I think was visa immigration, something like that. I liked very much the consultant that I talked with, and she was very kind and very clear about all the steps I have to
Thank you
take.
very much. Very well. We are now done with the second part and we can move on to the third part of your test. So, we've been talking about using the internet to solve a problem, and now I would like to ask you some questions related to this.
Okay.
Let's consider the internet. What influences does the internet have on people individually and the society?
Well, the internet it's a system that connects people, and is a system that in these days, in the present days, it's really important, and we can't live without it anymore. I think it's something that you can't go back anymore, and it is used for good and for bad. Some people use it for bad intentions, and some people use for good, like spread good informations or make our lives easier, connect people in the world, worldwide, and talk with our families. And
Okay, and how about you? Do you usually use the internet for good intentions or bad intentions?
oh, of course, for good intentions. I use the internet to mostly of the time to study and to work, and to talk with my family too, because I have siblings in the United States. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I use the internet today.
Okay. And do you think that libraries will disappear one day?
No, I don't think so. I think library is something like theater, will never disappear. I think it's something that people like to do, to go and to uh, spend the time there, reading
Mm-hmm.
reading nice books, rare books, and will be a place to visit, to like an entertainment visit.
Okay, so how do you think the libraries will change in the future if they do not disappear?
Well, I think they will provide some online books,
Mm-hmm.
that you can consult anytime. But I think they will attract people through offering cafes and other things inside the library, like
Mm-hmm.
stores, grocery stores, and something like that, and
Okay,
cafes.
very good. Now let's talk about surfing the internet. Would you say many people waste time surfing the internet?
Yeah, this can be a problem for some people. Some people spend a lot of time surfing in the internet and not learning anything, just with a kind of addiction. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this is a problem that we have today, especially among young people, teenagers.
Okay. And do you think this problem can be solved in the future?
Maybe can be solved. I think what is missing is knowledge to these teenagers, or
Mm-hmm.
some goals in their lives, and solid goals, and they spend a lot of time um, doing some exposure of their lives and watching the other people's lives and thinking that it's better than theirs. And I think it's sometime I think this will be better in the future, but not now. I think it will be a long time until we get there.
Okay. Thank you so much. Very well. This is the end of your speaking test.
Oh,
And yes,
I'm
you can
so
relax.
I'm so nervous. Oh my God.
But you didn't look like you're nervous. You were totally fine. I was like, wow, she's one of those confident ones.
No. Thank you very much. Oh, it's the
You're
sun is here.
welcome.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can relax, it's fine. I will just need 1 to 2 minutes to see what score I can give you based on the criteria. You can
Mhm.
just take a breath and I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so now let's see what you did. But before I start, I would like to know what you think of your performance.
I think in the beginning, I was too nervous, and I had that blank in my in my head, and the words like was disappearing. But in
Mm-hmm.
the end, I think I was starting to feel better and more confident with my speech. So
Yeah.
I think this factor, this emotional factor, really makes me makes me feel bad, and maybe will be something to worry about in my test. But
Mm-hmm.
I think generally I felt fine. I was fine.
Yeah, that is totally okay because it is normal to be a bit stressed, and you should know that you shouldn't worry if you are too stressed in the first part. Part one is like a warm up for you and for the examiner. I was
Okay.
trying to get to know you to see what grammars you know, what vocabulary you know. The main parts, the most important parts are part 2 and 3 because they are longer. You can show off with the vocabulary or the grammatical structures, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So don't you worry if you're a bit stressed in part 1. You're just getting yourself together and see what you want to do. And I could easily say yes, you were more stressed in the first part because you made more mistakes in part 1, but part 2 and 3 you were okay. You were fine. And that's a good thing. And what score are you looking for?
Well, maybe an 8 or 7.5.
Okay, good. So let's see. I can start with your fluency and coherence. I gave you a 6 in your fluency and coherence because you are totally fine. You have the flow of speech. You're able to talk. But the problem is that, first of all, you did not use many connectives. That's very
Mm.
important to the examiner, Jennifer. The examiner wants to hear something more than and, so, but, because. They want to
Mm.
hear, for example, although,
Mm.
however, besides, even though. Mhm.
Okay.
On one hand, on the other hand, compared
Okay.
to, for example. So try to use these connectives on the test
Okay.
day. It can
Okay.
boost your score from 6 to 7 easily.
Okay.
And because you had some hesitation, especially in part 1, and that led to some self-repetition. You were repeating some things because you were thinking and talking at the same time. I think it's because of the stress. Maybe if you manage your stress a bit more, then you will reduce your self-repetition and self-correction. You know what? If you pause to think about ideas or come up with some ideas, that's okay. But if
Mm-hmm.
you pause because you don't know what word or grammar you want to use, that will mark you down. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So these two pauses, hesitations are different. So you can easily get a 7 if you just reduce your self repetition or correction. That's because of the stress. And on the other hand, use better connectives. I'm sure you can because you have a good command of English. Just add some of them to your sentences. For example, 4 times you say and, once you say besides. 3 times you say but, once you say however, like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not too much. Yeah, that's about your fluency and your vocabulary, your lexical resource. I gave you another 6 because you are able to talk about a topic at length. You didn't have a problem, but once you didn't understand just once the word codes, and that's fine. Maybe it's because the mock test is taking place online. You didn't understand what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And you can paraphrase the question. You did not repeat what I said. That's important. Do not copy the words that you hear in the question. Try to paraphrase the words. And you were quite okay with paraphrasing. My problem is that you should try to use more collocations related to the topic. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I don't know, surfing the internet, going online, some collocations related to whatever topic you're asked to talk about. A wider range of vocabulary because you didn't have problems with the words. I just wanted to hear a wider range of words or vocabularies and
Mm.
collocations, idiomatic vocabulary, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, that's maybe what you can do. And your grammar, you got a 7 because you are able to use simple and complex structures. Like you use conditional sentences, relative clauses, as I was hearing you. And you didn't make many grammatical mistakes. You had some in part 1. For example, you said according with the, no, according to something.
Mm.
According to. Or the first people was, the first people were. People is plural.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Who don't know, or somebody who doesn't know. Somebody who
Mm.
doesn't know. And another problems, other problems, or informations, no, information. Information is uncountable. It's always singular.
Okay.
And you said surfing in the internet, no, surfing the internet. So you had some grammatical mistakes, but generally you were able to handle it. simple and complex. That was really good. You got a 7, and that's about it. Your grammar is fine. It was more of linking up your sentences. Sometimes your sentences are short, 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 right? If you use better connectives, you can make longer sentences. And finally, your pronunciation, I gave you an 8 because your pace was fine. It was not very slow or very fast. It was fine. I could totally understand what you were saying. The intelligibility was fine. Your accent didn't have any negative impact on that. You just had some lapses. For example, population. The pronunciation is population.
Okay.
And yes, that's all about it. You just had one pronunciation problem. And so I gave you an 8 in that. You got a 6 in fluency and coherence, a 6 in lexical resource, grammar 7, and pronunciation 8. Generally, you got a 7, but you can easily, right now, you can get a 7.5. How can you do that? Your length is okay. You get into details, you explain, you give me examples. That's very good. You can just work on 2 things. First of all, use more connectives and discourse markers, as I told you. Secondly, try to just reduce your stress levels, because if you don't have a stress, you have less self-repetition and self-correction. It brings you a better score in fluency. You can get a 7 in your fluency. And if you use some more collocations related to the topic, you can get a 7 in your vocabulary. Your grammar is okay for your level. Your pronunciation is fine. Just work on these 2, your fluency and your vocabulary. Okay?
Okay. The composition of the grade, it's made of fluency and coherence, vocabulary.
Fluency and coherence. Fluency and coherence is one criteria.
Okay.
Vocabulary is the second one. Grammatical range and accuracy is the third one.
Okay.
And pronunciation is the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can download the band descriptors, IELTS Speaking band descriptors on the internet, you can see what criteria there exist.
Okay.
Very good. Do you have any questions or problems?
Well, not really. I think in the test, in the real test, will be just like this, right?
Yes, just like this.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. Thank you very much for helping me and
You're
for
welcome.
giving me these tips. I know that I have to use more connectives. Sometimes it's very hard to express myself. And in this time until my real test, I will work on this item in connectives and more collocations, linking words. And I probably, for sure, I will watch this video again.
Very well, yes. And you don't need to tell the truth all the time on exam day. If you don't have an answer to the question, just go talk about somebody else's experience as your experience. Or go off the topic, talk about something related to the answer, and then at the end, come back to the question again. These are the techniques. Okay? Don't get stressed. You can handle it. Whatever topic they give to you, you can just say something. Just say something relevant about it. Okay?
Okay.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And if you don't mind, we can share your video on YouTube for others to learn from you. If not, then that's totally fine.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. So let us know about your exam results.
Okay.
Very good. Good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.